You're listening to Heroes in the Moment. What's up, heroes? I'm Michael.
And I'm Nathan.
And today we're doing something brand new. Well, maybe not so brand new because you guys are maybe familiar with our weekly recap, formerly known as Latest Superhero News. Well, now it's being completely revamped once again. It is now called Week in a Flash.
Come on now, baby.
And we're so excited to announce this brand new way we're going to do podcasts coming to you every single Thursday, every week from now on. And it's going to be awesome. Same and similar to our weekly recaps. It's going to, we're going to cover Marvel news, DC news, Star Wars news, Harry Potter, Dune, all the other news that we have. And then it's going to have some adage so that we're going to add a challenge, a weekly challenge that you, the audience, get to pick for us to do each week. We'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to that in the podcast here in a few minutes. And what we've been doing, but we're going to do even more so, our Heroes Q&A, where you, the audience, can ask questions to us, any question you want about the topics, or if you're just curious about something in relation to pop culture, we'll be happy to answer those questions through Instagram comments or stories or whatever else. So really, this way, we are completely audience-based. More interactiveness with you guys more than ever before. You guys can interact with us. You guys choose a lot of our topics, a lot of what we're talking about, more than we've ever done before, and maybe more than other podcasts as well. So we're super excited for this. Also, it being our how many year anniversary?
It's 4 year now, right?
4 year anniversary, 2020, August of 2020.
Happy birthday, Michael.
Happy birthday.
That's crazy.
We're 4 years old. Can you believe that?
We started with the dream.
We started with a dream.
Two young boys.
That's right. Now we're still have a dream.
Relatively young, and we still have a dream.
Yeah. That's right. But it's super excited for 4 years and to revamp our podcast in a new and awesome way. So we're super excited for Week in a Flash. So on our first official Week in a Flash that we've doing, we've got Marvel news, we've got DC news, we got Sony Marvel news, and we got Star Wars news, and then another little extra snippet as well before we get to the challenge and Heroes Q&A. Let's start with the one and the only Marvel MCU news. So as we know, what just happened recently, D23, the expo that Disney does, announces all of their new stuff that they're coming in the next couple of years, happened just recently. And a lot of things from Marvel happened with that. But before we get to that, we have to talk about how Deadpool and Wolverine has now become the highest grossing rated R movie of all time.
First of all, Congratulations
to all those guys. Sean Levy,
well-deserved.
Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman. We love you guys.
Well-deserved, man.
Well-deserved.
And, I think we both called this,
absolutely. It was happening.
Huge IP, even though it's rated R, it's a little more towards the mouses, than something like a Joker.
Right.
But no, that's awesome. Highest rated grossing R-rated film
grossing
of all time.
R-rated film ever.
That's crazy.
That's a lot of money.
It's hit $1 billion.
It's way over $1 billion now. I think it's almost 1.1 billion now, or maybe even further.
And that would be the second highest this year, right? Besides Inside Out 2, which is like 1.5.
The second highest movie this year, Inside Out 2 made, is actually in the top 10 highest grossing films ever.
It kicked out the first Avengers,
which is crazy.
Which, you ask me, shouldn't happen, but
well, I mean, we haven't seen it yet, so we can't say I've not jumped on the trend yet. But anyway, it's become the highest rated R movies, so that's really awesome.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's really crazy. That's a lot of money.
Kevin Feige, he's seen all this money coming in. He's like, maybe it is a good idea to not, do kids only. Yeah. Like, yes, these are, all right, made for adults too.
Exactly. All right, some other news when it comes to D23. The first one is, I feel like, the one that got me the most hype, and that be information coming about the brand new animated Spider-Man show, Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man.
Yeah, man, this show is gonna be bang.
I think it's gonna be bang. If it's the same as the X-Men 97, what they did with that, I'm not worried at all with Marvel animation.
Yeah. It's going to be really good.
It's going to be good.
The people that we've seen confirmed as voice actors.
Yeah.
I forget that one guy was voicing Osborn.
Yeah, we got Coleman Domingo voicing Norman Osborn, a former Oscar nominee. And we got Hudson Thames voicing Peter Parker, Spider-Man. Right. So originally, I believe this series was called Spider-Man Freshman Year, right? And it was going to be about, I'm pretty sure, Tom Holland's Spider-Man becoming his origin story. Yeah. But I think they've completely revamped it to where it's just going to be a brand new, like straight out of the comic book pages, animated story about a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. That's just a new show.
I like that. I like that a lot better, to be honest, Michael.
I do.
I think it works.
I think it works. I think the original idea of having an origin based off Tom Holland's Spider-Man was interesting to me, and I think I would have liked to be explored. But this way, there's less room for error. They have more creative freedoms, and they can do a whole lot more with villains and things of that nature. Which actually, it's still surprising though that this show is allowed considering that Sony owns Spider-Man though. So why are they allowing them to create their own animated show that is Disney?
I don't know. Maybe there's a difference in the contract between like the movies they make and the shows, or
I suppose.
I don't know. Maybe Sony just signed off like, all right, just give us this % of whatever you make. But
yeah,
I don't know.
I guess, but it was just a really interesting development with that. But I do agree. I think the show's it looks awesome. It's got, it's gonna have Norman Osborn. It's gonna have some more of those classic Spider-Man characters we know and love and villains. And I'm just excited to explore that and all the realms that it does with this show.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did they come out with a release date?
I didn't see one.
I didn't see one either. I'm assuming next year, but I could be wrong.
I'm gonna take a guess and say fall 25.
Fall 25.
Yeah,
that's
fall
probably
25.
a safe guess. That's a safe guess.
Because these animated projects take forever.
They do. They take forever,
out,
as we'll talk about here in a few minutes with a specific one that makes me mad. But they do take forever. All right, the next piece of Marvel news, still staying in the realm of animation, is we got a little bit more snippets about Marvel Zombies, which we've been hyped about TVMA for a while.
This has been, kind of in the rumor mill. It feels like for like 3 years now.
Long time, but we've able to get some confirmation or maybe some questions. So one thing that I've heard about Marvel Zombies, we know it's confirmed to be TVMA, which is awesome in general.
Yeah.
Another thing that we heard is that it might only be 5 episodes.
If they're 5 episodes, they better be like an hour long.
I agree. I agree. It should be
like,
5. They're not going to be.
This is something that they hinted at in What If Season 1, which is 21, 21, right?
Yeah, 2021.
I mean, it's been 3 years. It feels like a long time coming. It's a really cool idea.
Yeah.
I don't love the idea of just having 5 episodes.
I don't either.
I hope they got to be at least like 45 minutes.
Right, but I also saw that this Marvel Zombies could be a part of What If Season 3 and just be 5 episodes of it. I don't know. I could have got confused, but it looked like it was on the What If Season 3 panel and they were talking about Marvel Zombies. But I hope it's its own thing.
I mean, to you,
instead of being just 5 episodes, but that doesn't make sense having 5 episodes of What If being TVMA
be zombies
and the rest
especially
not.
Because they're trying to expand their Marvel animation. Why wouldn't they just make an entirely new project? It's cool that it spawned right from the first season,
right? Exactly.
But why not give it its own show now?
Yeah. I agree. So it's just a little bit confusing. And then 5 episodes. I mean, 5 episodes to capture into get into this apocalyptic world of Marvel characters and zombies just doesn't feel right.
We need a lot more than that.
We need a lot more than that.
Come on.
So we'll see. I'm excited for it nonetheless. I mean, I think this is going to be one of the most anticipated series for sure in the future, but I don't know. We'll see how it comes in when we get more news.
It got to be its own thing.
Oh, it's got to be.
I mean, and think about the fact too that if they throw it into What If Season 3, like how many quality episodes are they gonna have for it? Like it's usually like 8 to 9 episodes.
Maybe they'll just eliminate all the Captain Carter episodes and stuff instead of getting like 15.
Well, yeah, they obviously should have done that a while ago. But I love Haley Atwell.
But not all the time. I want new stories, not the same character
episode,
all the time. All right. Also in the realm of Marvel animation is they talked about more about the new Wakanda series called Eyes of Wakanda animated series coming soon. I wonder
what's that going to be about.
I think it's going to be about the origins of the first Black Panther.
Okay,
is what I think. I think it's going to be about
cool.
It's the origins of the vibranium coming from space, and landing in Wakanda, and the first Black Panther rising to power, and all of this stuff, and all of that storylines that go in it. So I think it's a very intriguing story because that's one of the things that I've most been interested in from the Black Panther movies is the origin of Wakanda and a lot of what happened in the original time period. And they kind of hinted at it several times in wanting to do a Black Panther movie, the original Black Panther, but just it wasn't feasible in the overall arching. But having it be an animated series gives it potential and it works well. So I think it's really intriguing.
Story. Yeah. I mean, you look at Wakanda, and you're like, that's the most advanced civilization. You're like, I would love to know how it got there, right? What that process looked like. So yeah, I think that's a cool idea.
Besides just like the first 3 minutes we got in the first Black Panther movie.
I know how they like build that invisible wall.
That's I know. That cool. Might be a little bit later though than what this show is going to take place, but I don't know. But it's still an intriguing show nonetheless. And I must say, like after talking about this, I have to give a little bit of appreciation for what Marvel's done now in giving their different subcategories to their different projects. Like it's no longer all just Marvel Studios. Marvel Studios is just the movies now. Now it's Marvel Television. That's like your Agatha, your Ironheart, your stuff that's coming out soon. And then you have your Marvel Animation, which is your X-Men 97, your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, Eyes of Wakanda. And then you have your Marvel Spotlight, like Echo and the stuff that's coming in the future with the just spotlight of that character.
I love it.
I think it's good good that it's organized and reorganized itself in that capacity.
Yeah.
That way, like if something fails, they can just blame that department.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and you look at the comics, right? I mean, they're all in different universes. You
Yeah.
know, they all have different names. Like,
Right.
why shouldn't we have all these different versions of all these different characters?
And it just
You know what I'm
technically
saying?
falls under one multiverse, I guess you
Yeah.
could say, in this
But
perspective.
I like
So,
it. You
I
know,
like
it's great for us fans because it just means we get more and more different types of content. And
Right.
since they've spread out so far, it gives like the writers, the directors a lot more, I feel like, creativity
Right.
to kind of put their own input
And
on
now
these
they're
projects.
not, coming out with projects every, month, and now they're taking their time more.
Yeah.
So
And
hopefully
you
that
see
will
the
get
success
some
like
results.
X-Men 97, right?
Exactly.
You see Deadpool, Wolverine. You're like,
Exactly.
"All right,
So
come
hopefully
on now."
we'll have a raise in the future as well. All right. So let's talk about the first show mentioned in D23, and that being Ironheart. Which this show has faced a lot of like, not really interesting.
Yeah.
I was one of the first people that was like, I'm not interested in this show.
I was with you too.
But Wakanda Forever, I love that movie.
Mhm.
I genuinely love Black Panther 2, and they introduced Riri Williams very well, and I think she was a very welcome character. And the fact that this is the deal breaker for me is that Ryan Coogler is involved in this project,
Huh.
and that gives me a lot more faith.
Yeah.
What do you think?
No, I mean anything that he'll put his name on, I'm pretty confident in.
Yeah,
I really didn't know who he was until the first Black Panther.
me neither.
Seeing the success of those two, even though we recognize, like Ironheart is not a household name,
Right.
She's not someone that people are gonna want to automatically show up for in theaters. But if his stamp of approval is on this project, I mean, I'm
Yeah.
down.
It could work out,
Give
and
it a
with
chance.
Anthony Ramos being playing the hood guy and the villain
Yeah.
in it and stuff, which I love Anthony Ramos.
He
and-
just starts singing
I
like
know,
in the
that'd be
heights. You're like,
so
bro,
good.
what's going on?
What's
here?
going on? He's a singer. It's a
Man.
musical, like Agatha.
That would be cool. That'd be real cool.
But no, I think I have a lot more faith in the series than I did before. I mean, we don't have a trailer really. They showed like a snippet of it at D23 that was just to the people there, and I didn't really see much of it, but
yeah, it's very blurry.
very blurry. So from what I've heard, maybe it could be an interesting project to come out. I still don't see a lot of people coming out to watch it. However,
Yeah.
hopefully the quality will outweigh that.
And I'm just hoping that they don't introduce a bunch of like new changes and important information
Right.
for the cinematic universe. Because like
I
you said,
agree.
not everyone wants to go watch a Disney Plus show to
Right.
understand.
And it is a lot to keep up with now. It's just a lot. So we'll see how it goes with that. The next piece, which naturally we're both super hype about, is Daredevil Born Again.
Come on now,
Listen,
Come
I
on
really
now.
think this is going to hit.
it's gonna bang.
It's gonna be
I
a
already
banger.
know it's gonna be a banger.
I think it's got a March release date of next
Okay.
year, 25.
yeah.
And everybody's coming back. Matt Murdock,
Seeing
and
John Bernthal
John
come on
Bernthal,
stage
the
made
Punisher,
me want to cry, man.
and the fact that
tears.
he's confirmed to be the MCU
know,
Punisher
man.
is just awesome.
You know what? We'll talk about this in some later episode, but everyone always talks about like actors who are born to play this role. I really think Bernthal was born to play Punisher. I think he encapsulates him so well. He
we'll
looks like
actually
him.
get to that this episode
Oh,
before long.
shoot, that's my
At the
early one.
end-
But I love him so much,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah,
Come on, just give him whatever he wants.
I agree.
You gotta
He-
think
he's a
everyone
great
loves Punisher.
Punisher.
Like your military, your cops.
Yep.
Pretty much every dude in the
See,
South has him on a
I
truck.
still think that Daredevil Born Again should have been a movie, though. Oh,
I know.
would have loved. Like he deserves a movie.
I know.
Genuinely. I mean, Punisher.
not
If they
against
would have
that.
gave him a show, like that'd been awesome, like a cool
Yeah.
show. Punisher's. I don't think he's necessarily movie capability, but Daredevil is a movie character.
Yeah.
So I would have liked.
I
that.
mean, obviously, if he didn't have the 3 seasons on Netflix, I mean, who knows where the character would be without that Netflix
Right,
show?
right.
But just because they wanted to kind of continue that story right under that new
Yeah.
name.
Yeah.
But I do agree. I think eventually this will lead him into being
I
a
agree.
big staple.
Yep.
you know.
And from the snippet that they showed of the show, it looks like the original Netflix
Yeah.
show. It's TVMA. It's going to be
Which,
it's going to have more episodes than the prior season than
Yeah.
before.
They said the first it was 23, and then like we're scrapping it, and then it was what did they?
I
cut
think
it
it's
down
going to be
to?
12.
12. Okay.
Which is, I think, perfect. I
Yeah.
mean, I think that's plenty.
One of the biggest things I was scared is, the original series, it's really dark. Like you said, it's TVMA.
Yeah.
It's clearly made for adults, and we thought, oh, it's gonna get Disneyfied. But Vincent D'Onofrio has, said that, there's some scenes that'll like put the Netflix show to shame.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, no,
Well, that's just exciting.
come on,
That is exciting, and I'm so excited to see this show and see if it does justice.
it's gonna be
And
so
I
good.
think it will.
It's gonna be
I
so
think it
good.
will.
Everyone coming back, man.
Yep.
Know, like they're gonna hold it to a high quality.
Absolutely.
The original cast and crew.
Absolutely. I agree. I agree. All right, now let's talk about some other pieces of news that we've gotten in the realm of movies from D23. First off, being Thunderbolts. We got some special first looks at Thunderbolts, and they did show the trailer at D23
Yeah.
just to the audience, and I did watch it blurry.
Yep.
And it was a good trailer.
Yeah,
I'm
it didn't
not
look
going to
bad,
lie.
yeah.
Now, there's some stuff that me and you both agree we don't like necessarily, but it looks good.
It looks good. The plot seemed kind of, easy to understand. I
Yeah.
feel like they didn't show too much,
No.
which I was very relieved about. I think one of the biggest negatives that people were talking about was the quality of the costumes.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people are like, it's a downgrade for Red Guardian, it's a downgrade for Bucky, it's a downgrade for.
I think the only one that's a really big
Florence
downgrade
Pugh.
is Taskmaster. The
Oh
other
my
ones I'm not
gosh.
mad at. Like Ghost, I think
is
looks
more
good.
comic
Yeah, I
accurate.
think Ghost looks good.
I think she looks really good.
Yeah,
but
the rest I think look fine.
Taskmaster,
but
was just-
Taskmaster looks rough.
That's a brutality.
Then again,
man.
though, Taskmaster was rough in anyway, in every way that they've
I
done
know.
Taskmaster in this.
They screwed Taskmaster.
They screwed Taskmaster.
That's a character big enough where you don't like sex change. You know what I'm saying?
No, I mean Black Widow
That's such
could
a
have
cool
benefited.
character.
I know, like
I
if it
know,
was
man.
the Taskmaster we know and loved in Black Widow, Black Widow
They,
is so
they
much
screwed
better.
that movie so bad.
I mean, the only thing Black Widow has going for it is the intro because that's one of the best intros ever.
Yeah.
And then
That's
after
really
that,
cool.
that's the best part of the movie.
You're like, what is this red dust?
I
And
know, I know. It's like
assassin ballerinas and this
assassin,
very
yeah.
odd take on Taskmaster.
and that the fact that she couldn't punch the dude because he had pheromones coming from it.
I know.
Anyway, side note, but Thunderbolts. I think the characters that they've got, you got Yelena, Florence Pugh. I think is a great head for this movie. Great person to have one. David Harbour's a fantastic
Harbour's
Red
gonna be-
Guardian.
Yeah.
He's going to be great in this movie.
Sebastian
Stan.
I'm so excited.
Amazing
Man.
to see him come back. I'm curious if this will be his final
I know.
movie.
I would imagine maybe until like Secret Wars or something.
Yeah.
One of my biggest, hurts in life is that I feel like they kind of screwed him over.
Yeah.
After Civil War, which in the comics he's not huge. He wasn't introduced to like in the 2010s or something like that. But he was always my favorite character in the MCU. But I don't know, man. I hope they kind of.
Well, Bucky was introduced in the 40s.
That's true. It was
But
the
Winter
Winter
Soldier
Soldier
was
was
introduced
well,
later.
was
But,
later on.
yeah.
I hope. What am I saying? I was about to say I hope they regress his character a little bit to where he kind of pulls more into that mentality that he shouldn't have.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's got the long hair back.
yeah, he looks good. He has a beard, but he looks so like depressed and sad in the thing. So
So hopefully they'll give him a lot more screen time. You know that him and
I
Yelena's
know.
going to have a love story, though. I can already feel it coming off the
can feel it.
screen. I can feel it.
I'm just glad they didn't do one with him and Anthony Mackie's character in the
Yeah,
show.
I know.
I'm like, bro, I wouldn't be surprised at anything that happens
No.
now because that show is terrible.
Yeah, it was
But
not
I hope
great.
they give him a big role, that guiding role. Obviously, Yelena's, I would imagine, will be the main character.
Yep.
And the big side characters would be, David Harbour and Sebastian Stan, who
Right.
rightfully earned their places.
Right.
But
And
no,
then you'll have
I
a-
hope they don't kill
And
off
I
the
mean,
cast.
I know, and I'm interested. White Russell, I think he'll be a great in this movie as well.
He's going to be the sleeper of the show.
He's going to be sleeper.
Because I thought he gave a great performance
Oh, yeah.
in
And
Falcon and Winter
Falcon
Soldier.
and Winter Soldier. And I mean, I don't know. I think this movie has a lot of potential. I also see it being bad. I don't know. And we have Sentry that's going to be the villain, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
We got a little bit of snippets of who's going to be Sentry, and we got a little bit of that. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that'll be a cool intro into that. But we'll see how it goes. We'll see
Yeah.
if it'll do justice.
I
to these
think it'd be like a
characters.
solid 7.5.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair. I think that's
Yeah,
fair. pick.
I feel like these types of movies are always a lot harder. These
Yeah.
Suicide Squad-esque
Esque,
movies.
yeah.
They're just tough to do.
They
You're
are.
combining all these characters with this one central mission, but then you're balancing
Yep.
all these different personalities
I
and
think,
how they work
I
as a
think
team.
it'll be better than the original Ayers cut Suicide Squad. I
Yeah.
think it'll be better than that one, but not as good as James Gunn's The Suicide Squad.
No.
Is what I feel.
Well, I always wish we got to see the director's
the
cut.
director's cut
Because I
of
feel like
Ayers.
they changed a lot for Suicide Squad. Because it was so
That
bad.
movie's just bad though.
I just want Bucky to be cool again, man. That's all I want, dude.
just want him to be
That's
him.
all I want. They nerfed him in his own show.
He's at his best in the Winter Soldier, in Captain America
He's
Winter
so
Soldier. He's at his
cool,
best,
man.
But
I had a
we'll
man
see.
crush. Like I still have a man crush. I can't lie.
I
Sebastian
get it.
Stan's him.
I
He's
get
him.
it. He's him. All right. Some other movie news that we've been talking about is that Armor Wars, Marvel Studios Armor Wars, which
Okay.
was a show, got turned to a movie starring Don Cheadle's War Machine, is apparently some rumors have been quietly canceled this movie completely.
Huh.
But I've heard some rumors that contradict that and the fact that no, it's not been quietly canceled. It's just still, it's still in very much development,
Yeah.
similar to the Blade show.
I was
or
about
the
to
Blade
say,
movie.
this feels like a mini Blade.
Yeah.
They've changed
Yeah.
so much about this
But
project.
the rumor that I've heard about it is what gets me hyped, and I think it will you too.
Okay, all right.
The rumor for Armor Wars plot is saying that Damage Control will be the villains of this story
Damage
because they'll be recreating Ultron.
Why would they do that?
So I love that because they ruined Ultron the first time.
They did.
So,
But now you're bringing them back in a TV? I mean, sorry,
no,
it's in the movie now.
It's
That's
a movie.
right, that's right.
It's a movie now.
It
So
just-
bringing them back,
It feels like a small scale, though, for
it does
Ultron.
because
you
if
know?
it's just War Machine
That's
center
what I'm
movie,
saying. That's the Avengers
it's
threat.
an Avengers threat.
You know?
So that's the risk. But the idea for
Of
me of
having-
them recreating Ultron, and maybe they do it like the movie's about like espionage and him trying to stop them from recreating it.
Okay.
But they succeed, and then it ends, and then maybe Doom uses Ultron in some capacity as like a Sentry agent or something.
Oh,
in
my goodness.
Doomsday or Secret Wars.
That would be so cool.
And that'd be kind of cool. And
That
they're
would be
working
so
together.
cool.
And it would be more of an Avengers level thing.
yeah,
So,
of course. Because now you're finding Doom. You got Ultron.
Ultron
What's his
and
face?
yeah.
James Spader back.
Yeah.
Voicing him.
It'd be
Ah.
sick. So maybe they could do something like the idea of revamping Ultron, doing him justice, it gives me
And
hype.
I just start tingling all over.
I know,
if
'cause
I'm being
Ultron is-
honest.
Such a good villain
I
that
know,
they did
dude.
not do well. I mean, Age of Ultron is not a bad movie. Let
Yeah.
me preface, it's a good movie. It's just they did Ultron dirty.
Yeah, they did
And
him really dirty.
They did him really dirty.
I love Cap, but Cap should not just be punching Ultron
not at all.
on the top of a moving truck.
Oh no. Ultron, man, he has a reputation. In one universe, he killed all the Avengers but a couple.
Yeah.
Like in the Young Avengers movie. Have you seen that movie?
No, I don't
Such
think I
a good
have.
movie. Such a good movie where Ultron kills all the Avengers, but Iron Man's the only one left because he had to escape with their kids.
Yeah.
Such a good movie.
Okay.
Anyway, so that's the thing with Armor Wars, which I think is an interesting idea, and we'll see what happens with that.
All right.
In other movie news, Eternals 2 has been allegedly canceled. See, I don't know how I feel because yes, Eternals 1 was not very
It was
received.
disappointing at the
It
box
was
office.
poorly received.
People
but,
didn't love it.
but it wasn't a bad movie.
I thought it was good.
It's a
I
decent
don't
movie.
understand why it was bombed so
Yeah.
hard in the reviews on Rotten Tomatoes
I
and
don't
stuff.
I don't either.
I don't
Because
understand.
it wasn't a bad movie.
I thought it was good.
Like it's a solid 7, maybe 6.5.
I saw a 6.57.
I mean, movie, and I don't necessarily think it deems a sequel, but the idea of it being canceled and perhaps all of these characters never coming back to the MCU screen and just
I
being a
know.
one and done it's kind of like Marvel's not known for that.
I know. It's just weird. And they had so many A-list actors for
Oh yeah,
this
they had
movie.
Angelina Jolie,
Yeah.
Barry Keegan.
Barry
Well, he wasn't
Keoghan.
A-list then, but he's
Yeah.
well,
You
he's
had
not.
Harry Styles.
Yeah, Harry
in there.
Styles.
You had
introduced, and
I can't even name all the other ones.
I know,
Richard Madden.
Jimmy Chan.
You had Jon Snow. All right.
Yeah, Kit Harington.
Harington, yeah.
I mean, you had a lot of big people, and then yes, it failed, but just because it failed doesn't mean the next one won't.
Yeah, I imagine
know?
the budget was huge just because of those names.
I
but
guess.
Chloe Zhao is a great director, and
She
I'm kind
is.
of disappointed that more people didn't tune out for it because
I
I thought
know.
it was all right.
It was a decent movie. No, it wasn't amazing like everybody thought like originally could potentially have been.
Yeah.
But I don't think it necessarily warranted a cancellation of the sequel. But
Yeah.
that's just
And
me.
the best live action speedster.
Oh yeah, Makari we ever
Bro,
got.
it was nasty.
so good.
The way they had her moving was
So good.
cool.
That's underrated for
That's
sure.
so
That's
underrated,
an
man.
underrated movie right
and
there.
seeing her power against what
Richard
was
Madden.
yeah, dude.
Yeah,
that was
Icarus.
so cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
dude, that was
so
sick.
cool.
That was sick. And Icarus was giving the Homelander vibes before.
Yeah,
he was giving
he
Homelander
really
vibes.
was.
Anyway, all right, some other movie or other potential news for Marvel before we move on to Sony Marvel, a subset of Marvel, is that you sent me this, and this makes total sense, is the MCU's version of Battle World and Secret Wars will be the Void.
It makes perfect
It
sense.
makes perfect sense. It does. Especially after Deadpool and Wolverine, having all of these characters being there, and this be a perfect place to send them all and
Yeah,
for
this
them to all
void of just
fight and all
nothing.
this stuff. I think it makes so
Yeah,
much sense.
I can't believe I didn't think of that earlier.
I know. Like
know?
when you said that, I was like, "Yep."
You think of
that's
how long
100%
they've
true.
been building up this void.
Yep.
You know,
Loki
obviously it
and-
started with Kang, right? You know,
Yeah.
that was obviously the main plan
Yeah.
at first, but now it's not. But yeah, like why wouldn't they just do that? Throw them all in the void.
Yep. It makes total sense. Just imagine like Hulk and Wolverine meet in the void and fight finally, or
Oh, man.
this, that. There's just so much
Yeah.
potential of cool things happening here, but that makes total sense that Secret Wars to take place in the void, similar to Deadpool and Wolverine, makes complete sense. All right, so let's go over to Sony Marvel use, and and this one kind of makes me mad, is the confirmed that whenever Sony uses a character adaptation in a movie, Venom, Kraven, Morbius, or Rhino, some of these other characters they're going to introduce, Marvel, the MCU, cannot use them. So, like, whenever Spider-Man, when they gave him to the MCU, used Vulture, that was fine. Sony didn't use him. Mysterio, that was fine. And then all those 5 villains that from the older ones, they allowed that, and that was fine.
Yeah.
But now they're saying, like, all these other characters that they're using, the MCU can't utilize as a Tom Holland villain.
Yeah.
Which
so
is
we're never going to see Morbius and, RDJ on the same screen.
No.
You got to think about travesties like that. It hurts deep down.
Well, the biggest hurt to me is I think Kraven Hunter will never get to see him like in Spider-Man fight as a villain, because Kraven Hunter's such a good villain.
I know.
But now that they're doing this crap movie, it's gonna be awful. They're not gonna be able to use him.
Aaron Taylor Johnson, he's just doing it for the bag, man. He knows that movie sucks.
Now, to be honest, like Aaron Taylor Johnson, I think is a good pick. But Jason Momoa is Kraven
He would have
Hunter.
been so good.
He's perfect. Like, he's perfect as Kraven Hunter. So that kind of frustrating. That will never have that. So, but maybe in the Sony Spider-Man 4, they'll probably have Kingpin as the villain or something like that. And that'd be cool. Yeah. But still, it just kind of stinks that we're not going to get some of those other villains that Sony's ruining.
What about Green Goblin?
Green Goblin, Disney can utilize.
I mean, because I'm just confused why Sony hasn't used that already.
I know.
That's like the biggest, right? The biggest villain.
I know.
So,
I guess because they did before way back in Tobey Maguire, and they wanted to keep it different, keep it new.
Yeah.
I guess is what they're trying to do. All right. Anyway, the next piece, which also makes me mad. Sony Marvel's always made me mad. I don't know what it is.
They listen, man. Sony, I don't think is ever going to sell the Spider-Man rights back to Disney.
No, they
just
can't.
because they're not gonna.
They can't because that's all they got.
I know.
They
bought Spider-Man for like what, $25 million?
Yeah.
Crazy thing is, Marvel, like way back then when they're going bankrupt, offered all of its characters. They said, "We just want Spider-Man."
Yep. We just want Spider-Man.
We just want Spider-Man.
It's crazy.
That's all.
And that being Beyond the Spider-Verse, apparently won't be coming out for another 2 to 3 years.
Wow.
Which is angering because Across the Spider-Verse came out last summer and it was marketed as if Beyond the Spider-Verse would be a part 2 coming out the next year. March was scheduled.
Huh.
And now it's saying it won't be coming out 2 to 3 years. I mean, 3 years from now is what? What is it? 2024? 2027.
I mean, you're going to have kids.
2027.
Yeah.
Beyond the Spider-Verse. And it's a part 2 movie.
A part 2.
You're going to lose interest of people like it left off of a cliffhanger. That cliffhanger is going to mean nothing in 3 years.
No one's going to remember.
No one's going to remember.
By that time.
In 3 years, the cliffhanger means nothing.
Yeah.
So like,
Our next president won't have one more year in his term.
I know. Like, I get that, you want it to make it best as possible. You want to animate it. But if you're marketing it as a part 1, part 2, you should have held Across the Spider-Verse for longer.
Yeah, exactly.
And waited to release it. Because
release them like year and then the next year.
Exactly. Because you should have waited until you knew you could release them back to back. That's my thing. You should have waited. I mean, because you cannot just like market it as a part 1, part 2, and then have 3 years between them or 4 years between them.
I'm with you, man.
That's just absurd to me.
I'm with you.
That is absurd. All right, so let's go over to DC news. All right,
come on now.
Another studio that has its off and ons. Warner Brother makes us angry, but then James Gunn makes us happy. So
Robert Pattinson makes us happy.
Robert Pattinson makes us happy.
Warner Brothers makes us mad.
Warner Brothers makes us bad. And with that, Warner Brothers is getting rid of their gaming studio.
Oh man, dude, this report I read said that they were $10 billion. $10 billion in debt. They're like, apparently our TV networks are not worth as much as we thought they were. All right. So now, they're looking to sell stuff for some cash. That's why you see different versions of the Batman, being played out like
Amazon
on Prime.
Prime.
They're selling some of their stuff. They're not selling the characters, just selling some of the rights right now. But yeah, they're selling their gaming studio, which, you got to think TT Games, which makes the Lego games, right? Those are Warner Brothers. The biggest are the Arkham games, right?
Yep.
Asylum, City, and Night. Honestly, it gives me hope for the the Rocksteady games.
Yeah.
Obviously, Kill the Justice League was a piece of crap.
Yep.
Live service battle pass game, but I don't know. Maybe just sell it back to the original creators and make another game.
It is absurd, and I bet this ruins a lot of James Gunn's plans to have gaming involved in his
I know,
universe.
like if there's no gaming department at Warner Brothers,
then how can they have gaming relation unless they
Yeah.
work with other studios, which is possible, but costs a lot more money.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, I think it would probably be best for the characters. I mean, like we said, like these games have gotten dry, or we haven't gotten anything at all. I would love to see like new takes.
I agree.
Maybe see like, I don't know, like see Take Two. Put a spin on Batman or something.
Right.
See a Batman, but in
there's
Red
so
Dead
much
style
potential
or-
for like DC games and like Harry Potter games and stuff like that affects like Hogwarts Legacy and stuff like that
That's
too.
true. Yeah. I
So
didn't even think about Hogwarts.
I
Legacy.
mean, that's just a big market that you're losing. And
I know.
gaming,
Especially because Hogwarts Legacy was a best-selling game last year,
yeah,
I believe.
it's huge. It was
which-
huge, and it was a good game. So
Yeah, it's a very good game.
it's
so.
just, it's crazy to me. All right, but over in the DCU side of things is James Gunn and his crew are eyeing apparently Damson Idris and Aaron Pierre to be John Stewart Green Lantern.
I'm down with it.
I'm down with it.
I'm down with it.
I'm not familiar with these guys' work.
Yeah.
I'm actually for the first time witnessed David Cornsweet's work in Twisters.
Oh, really?
Was the first time I witnessed
He's in
him.
it?
He's in Twisters.
Okay,
and at
was
first
he
I was
good?
like, dude, that looks like Henry Cavill. And I was like, oh, that's David Cornsweet. That's him. That's the next Superman.
Yeah.
I got so hyped.
That's good.
And it was him. So I got to see his work, and he was great in
Okay.
it. So I trust Game's going a lot more now
Yeah.
after seeing that. And it seems like these guys he's picking are great picks. Personally, I think Aaron Pierre, based off looks, I don't know his work, but based off looks, he looks like John Stewart's Green Lantern.
He does.
So I think that would be a perfect pick. If you don't know who he is, go ahead and look up Aaron Pierre on Google. You can see him and just imagine John Stewart Green Lantern. It looks just like him.
Adam Pierre.
And I think it would just be a great pick for DC moving forward. I think that's great. And we'll just have to see if they cast Glenn Powell as Hal Jordan Green Lantern.
Yeah, he'd be great.
He'd be perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. So, lastly, over in Star Wars news, before we get to our next segments, is Andor. We got some Andor season 2
Okay.
news.
Okay.
All right. So, we got that apparently Andor season 2 will take place over a course of 4 years with multiple time jumps leading up to the events of Rogue One.
I hate time jumps in shows.
I don't.
Really,
I only
personally.
like it if it's like Arrow and it goes back to the past that builds to the present.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I like.
I've been watching House of the Dragon, and in season 1, they have like 3 or 4 different time jumps, and each of them are like 2 years, 4 years,
Yeah.
it's like 5 years. It's like,
It makes
I
it so
can't
confusing.
keep track,
Yeah,
man.
you cannot keep
And then
up.
the weird thing is some characters, they stay the same, they keep the same actor, but then with other ones, like they'll recast. You're like, wow, this guy is 15 years older, but he
Yeah.
looks the same. I don't know. That's just my
Yeah, I
soapbox
agree.
rant.
That's absurd. It is.
But I mean, Andor season 1 is a banger, so I'm sure that
I know.
second
And,
one's gonna be good.
I wonder why, because originally the show was going to be 5 seasons, and they're each going to take place a year before Rogue One.
Huh?
But they changed it to just season 2 would be the last.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because they're trying to build up to the next movies.
Yeah,
or-
and then again, like I think audiences might have a hard time connecting over 5 seasons, right?
Right. I agree.
I don't know.
I agree. And then we got our first piece of Skeleton Crew, and they released a trailer, so check that out. We'll break down that trailer here
Come on
soon
now.
as well. But they talked about it, and it's going to have a release date for December, so
Okay.
excited for that.
Yeah.
And other news before we get to our challenge, and we'll talk about what that consists of, is we had to mention this because it fits. We're getting Incredibles 3.
Come on now.
We're getting a trilogy.
Elastigirl.
She's back.
Man.
She's back. Unless
Let
they
me
kill
tell
her.
y'all about when I was a kid. I think she might have been my first crush ever. Like
Elastigirl.
movie crush.
She
yeah,
was
Elastigirl. man.
Elastigirl was beautiful.
She was mommy to all of us.
She was. She was.
I was telling one of my friends the other day. I think I said this. I said, "quote The first Incredibles movie is the second best superhero movie of all time."
No.
Yes.
That is
Dark
false.
Knight. I think Incredibles is better than everything else.
You think Incredibles?
I think it's that good.
I think it's
There's
good.
a reason it's like in the top like 100 movies on IMDb.
It's not, but
It is in my heart. I really think it's that good.
I mean, Incredibles is good. I agree, but to say that, I mean, you have Infinity War, Endgame.
it's better than that.
Oh, I disagree.
promise you.
I disagree. Oh man.
Like just for the time
Okay.
period, man.
Okay.
The animation.
well, we'll see if
storytelling.
Incredibles 3 has the same caliber. The same guy who did the original is coming back, and
Brad Bird.
He did Wall-E, I think, and Up, and like several of
Yeah.
the classics of the amazing Pixar movies. So I'm excited for it. I think round out the trilogy is perfect. It'll be the second Pixar. No, Cars was the second, so it'll be the
Okay.
third series to get a trilogy within the Pixar universe. So that's really cool to see with that. So it's super exciting for Incredibles 3.
Okay.
All right, now this is the segment of the podcast that we get to would be our challenge. So let's tell you
All right.
about how it would work. So our challenge, so each week at this time in our Week in a Flash, we would have you guys, the audience, vote maybe a week and ahead or a few days ahead before we record on a topic or a challenge for us to do. So this could be like who, me and Nathan competing against each other, or me and Nathan working with each other about a certain goal. We could ask 73 questions to each other about our superhero knowledge. We could see who can name the most superheroes in a minute. We could do a Hot Ones challenge where we're miserably dying from hot sauce, or whatever else really in your guys' purview. You guys can vote on which challenges each week in a poll, or you can maybe submit some challenge ideas that you have for us to do, but completely audience ran. Starting next weekly, the next Week in the Flash, you guys will be voting. Vote us a good challenge to do, and we will do it for you guys, and then you'll be able to listen to it.
Give us something good, nothing weird now.
Yeah, no. But give us something good to do, and we will do it in this part of the podcast.
All right.
All right. So now we go to our next part of the podcast. That would be our Heroes HQ.
I love this part, man.
I love it. I love interacting with, or not Heroes HQ. I said Heroes HQ. Heroes Q&A.
Q&A.
Questions and answers that you guys, the audience, give us. And we have
Ask away.
We have two really good questions that we got this week that we're super excited about. The first one being, all right, as an actor, what is an actor who nailed a role so hard that nobody will ever live up to it?
Oh, baby.
They said that they feel that Johnny Depp as Jack Sparrow, Heath Ledger's Joker, and Ig McDermott Palpatine was some of their picks. So what was some of our picks?
Ooh, sleeper pick. Well, not sleeper. Harrison Ford as Han Solo.
Harrison Ford
has to be up there.
I also think Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones is also
equally
the same.
Just Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford is
in
anyone.
General.
Hugh Jackman's Wolverine.
Hugh Jackman's Wolverine.
It's got to be. Nobody will ever believe it.
I think.
Robert Downey Jr.
Do you think
Iron
Tobey
Man.
Maguire's Spider-Man qualifies? I don't either.
Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man does, though.
I think so. And I think he's the only Avenger that qualifies.
I agree. I think he's the only one.
I really like John Bernthal's Punisher. I can't say that no one ever will be like him, but I think he's...
Charlie Cox's Daredevil.
I think they're both born for it.
I think
really
they were born again.
I think... what's his face?
Walter White, Bryan Cranston.
Yes.
Nobody could ever...
Obviously, James Gandolfini. Tony Soprano. I think staying in our universe, I think Hiddleston as Loki is another big one. I think
Daniel Radcliffe's Harry Potter, also, or Alan Rickman the Snape.
Honestly, I think Ralph Fiennes is Voldemort is up there too. But no, Snape was
Alan Rickman.
Snape was good.
Only other one, Adam Driver's the only other one that could potentially.
My mind's telling me Josh Brolin, but I can't say it.
I think other people could play Thanos.
That's what I'm saying. I just love Josh Brolin.
Elizabeth Olsen, Scarlet Witch.
I thought about. See, I can't.
No, I can't. I can't say that.
As much as I love her,
you can't say that.
But and honestly, I'm gonna say that none of the Batmans qualify.
I agree. Right now.
Robert
Pattinson could qualify.
Right now.
I agree. None of them qualify. Ewan McGregor doesn't qualify because of
we already
Sir
said
Alec.
Heath Ledger, right?
Yep. Okay. Well, he said the person who questioned.
Oh, that's right. Heath Ledger
said Heath Ledger. James Earl Jones' Darth Vader voice.
Oh, yep.
Yeah,
he's up there.
He's up there.
In the original trilogy, I don't think anyone else is up there besides maybe him and Harrison Ford.
Yeah, I think so.
You know what I'm saying? What else?
There's just all kinds of characters you can think of for this.
I know, dude.
I mean, you could even you could argue Patrick Stewart's Professor X. You could argue that
if he had better writers and a couple more movies, Michael Fassbender's Magneto would be on here.
Yeah,
100%.
I agree.
He's absolutely one of the best we've seen.
I agree.
But people who are made for the roles, I think those are all really good candidates.
Yeah.
Obviously, you got to keep it exclusive, so not everyone's on there.
Yeah, I think that's about pretty good round out picks.
Yeah,
I think those are pretty fair picks.
That's
great question, by the way. Great question.
That's a good question.
Great question.
Ooh, Henry Cavill.
Not yet. You can't really say that.
If he had maybe more projects and better writers, he would have been on there. I think he's the same tier.
Same as that. Paul Rudd, Scott Lang. Yes, he's him.
Yeah, man. Who else? What's some other big franchises?
Potentially, Timothy Chalamet's Paul Atreides could be in the conversation.
See, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I think he's overrated. mega overrated. In fact, I think the best part about those movies is Rebecca Ferguson, and then the first one, Oscar Isaac. Hot take. But they're not like,
or Austin Butler as Frade or whatever.
He was cool.
He was awesome.
Really cool.
But that you can't really put that in the
you
conversation.
can't. He's a one and done.
Yep.
I
think that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah.
Our next question, we had a similar question like this before, was what is some suggestions for getting started in reading comic books to somebody who hasn't read before? And we've mentioned this before. I think he asked me they asked for specifics. I'd say the best comic book to start if you're just wanting to get into comic books and you like the character of Batman Year One, I think is the best to start. I think Batman Year One is a great place to start for somebody who doesn't know a lot about, maybe the comics and the characters and stuff. I think that one's a great place to start. Do you have another idea for a starting point?
To start, honestly, as a starting point, this might take you a couple of decades, but get into the Amazing Spider-Man comics. That line from like what started like the 60s, right?
Yeah, at least a few of them.
Because there's like what 4, 5, 6.
There's a lot. Yeah, there's just a lot of comic books out there in general.
But that comic line is,
or even like you could say another one that would take you forever would be the Uncanny X-Men. That's another great run.
It just depends kind of what your vibe is.
It does. It depends on what characters you like. I mean, comics and movies are very different. I mean, for the comic wise, Spider-Man and X-Men are the best Marvel has. DC wise, comics are better.
Yeah.
So, a lot of the DC runs are amazing. Compared to Marvel, has X-Men and Spider-Man as your kind of top two.
Yeah.
And a few Fantastic Four, a few like House of M, great comic. But
Long Halloween in DC if you want a little something special.
Long Halloween, Batman Year One, I think would get
Batman Year
picks.
One,
Good picks to start for that podcast.
No, that's a solid question.
But anyway, that wraps up our hero Q&A.
All right, guys, thank y'all so much for listening to this episode. And as always, if you liked it, please let us know by giving us a download and a 5-star review wherever you listen to your podcast. We have a new feature on our episodes where you can send us a text message by following the link at the bottom of our episodes. You can submit your questions for Heroes Q&A there, or just shoot us a DM on Instagram. And speaking of Heroes Q&A, just be sure to check out our Instagram stories weekly for a chance to ask questions for our Q&A segments. Also, if you want exclusive access to episodes, including additional movie reviews outside of our general purview and early access to all of our episodes, you can subscribe to our membership, Heroes HQ. And finally, feel free to also check out our YouTube channel and our Instagram at Heroes in the Moment.
And we want to thank y'all for listening. And as always, we love you 3000.